got it fixed. Hi guys. Ooh, that's not so good. That one's... It's a full house today, guys. I got here early and still wasn't able to get in. The room is full. So is the lobby. Here, outside. So I'm not really sure how long this will take or go. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Good.
I remember you.
Do you?
Yeah.
Where you remember me from?
Western Mall, and then
Oh yeah,
two times at Western Mall.
yeah. That's I was just youngin'.
No.
Oh no, it was for the convoy.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you had your nephew or something.
Yep. I was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, nice to see you here.
Yeah. We got our county group going. We got 660 members now.
Nice. There you go. What?
But
Right.
I'm by myself.
Right. What county were you in again?
Guernsey.
Guernsey. Okay.
Cambridge.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm the one. You're the one. I seen your post, and that's what brought me here today.
Good.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
yeah. So I started live streaming, doing some of that. So I thought, well, I came here this morning because supposedly the testimonies were supposed to happen this morning. Only they had an an ethics class. So I sat in on it. I was just like, well, we'll just learn about what they're not supposed to do. So I had the live stream going, and so I have that. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, the corruption starts from the bottom, don't it?
That's what we're finding out.
Yeah,
The
that's
county's just as bad as any.
well, that's exactly right. And that's I'm still with 1776, and so they're starting. They were at the mall, the National Mall.
Yeah.
Stayed there for 34 days, and then we just now started. We're doing state to state now.
All right.
So they're going to start educating people on the Constitution. Educate, activate, motivate. So
Standing still.
yeah. And they went ahead and they changed the course, and they've got like board members now. So they've got a board, and so there's 6 guys on that board that'll help make the decisions going forward. So
Yeah, I
actually,
felt that anybody went out and helped them out.
I know. Well, I've been out there twice. I helped them break down Bunker Hill, and then went to their last location. And then actually this weekend I'm going to meet them up with Indiana. So I'm going to learn the presentation that they got to help activate, educate, and then hopefully bring it back here to Ohio.
Yeah.
So I'll have to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
Because what we're going to do is try to find some fellowship halls with churches or whatever, and have little meetings just to educate people on the Constitution and what our rights are. Because a lot of us don't remember. I mean, I don't remember from high school.
I hadn't read it since high school.
Right. Yeah. So if we can educate people, then that, knowledge is power. So starting down with this board of education, the sheriffs, all the way down, any elected official, they need to know, that we're electing them.
We have a woman that's the president of one of the school boards in our county, and she homeschools her kids.
Right. Well, if that isn't telling you something, I homeschooled my daughter from 5th to 10th. And then when we moved to the country, it was a lot, it was a prayer based. I mean, they allowed prayer in for their study hall periods and stuff like that. So I felt comfortable, letting her go in there because they had a choice, and that's the problem we don't have today is they just are taking all the parental choices away. So,
Have you heard of that? It's called wise something. That it allows kids to leave the school during the day
right.
and go to church.
No, but that's good.
Yeah, we're fighting to get it through over in our area.
Right.
Our school system.
Well, they took discipline out of school, they took God out of school, and then they want to know what's going on with school. I mean,
Well, that's what I tell them. My boys are in their 40s now.
Right.
In high school. They all had their pickup truck with a gun rack in the back with
Right.
a rifle hanging on it.
right,
Parked in the school parking lot.
right.
And didn't even lock the doors. And nobody shot each other back then.
That's right.
Because when the church was emptied out and the kids didn't learn to respect the church
Right.
and Sunday school, I'm blaming it on that.
I do too. I mean, that's where they learn morals and values.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the discipline. You learned the morals and values of life in general, and yeah, when they start taking that out of school, then that's when it got bad. But there was also that fear of the paddle from the principal too.
And when you got home.
Yeah, and even worse when you got home.
Yeah.
I mean, it only happened once to me in 8th grade, and I got a paddle, and then I got a whipping when I got home for getting the paddle in school. So that didn't happen no more.
I think what we got to come up with, we got to have some way of identifying ourselves when we're out like this.
Right,
Like that group right there, I just walked by and they're a group from, I think you said North Kent.
North Canton. Right. Well, I see. I walked in. I went to the restroom because I got in here early, thinking like, well, I'll get in here and get a good spot. And because I walked around and then I went and took a lunch break. I've been here since 7:45 this morning, and I seen the line, and I told him, I said, do I have to check in again? Because I already checked in this morning, and they're like, no. And but dang, I went into that room and there was not one seat available at all. So.
See that overflow room?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know there was an overflow room.
Yeah.
Is that where all the people are coming in to do their testimony?
Down there. This is just when we run out of seats in the big room.
Right. Well, I know this morning there was a lady in there, and she must have stayed out here when I went, because I went walking the mile, and she said she was number 91, and she probably wouldn't get heard today. But she is. She used to be a state board member and a Board of Education member, and her daughter is a teacher for Olentangy High School, and so she's coming here to represent, some of the teachers that don't get the chance to speak up. That they're
speaking on behalf of transgenders.
No, the opposite. Yeah,
There's one boy out there protesting has a Olentangy letter jacket.
no, this teacher's for the resolution. So.
Yeah, I was out there by myself against him.
Right.
All against one, I had him assigned.
Right.
But I had 9 honks and they only had 4.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope that the Lord prevails. I'm gonna find out if they have a website. Yeah, it was good seeing you too, and I'll get a hold of you when I get back from Indiana. When we start, I know the group is going to go to Indiana, and I'm not sure the next state, but once we get a state lead here in Ohio, I'll be rounding up all the groups to see. I know we'll probably have to break it down, just location wise.
Yeah. I'd like to see some way to bring them all together.
Well, that would be nice because,
So many differences out
well, and everything's gotten stale since that convoy, that we did, and then we come down to the State House, and so we did that twice, and then it was just like, fell flat after that. So,
Well, like I said, we had over 600 members, and we're lucky to get 50 at a meeting.
I know, yeah. So that's what I'd like to see. But you know what? I mean, back to the Lord. he separates the wheat from the chaff. So you got to have the doers doing, So, but if they get educated on what's, what is our rights, then that makes people a little bit more motivated to do something because they feel like they at least know what they're doing. So,
I keep saying we need a win. We need a big win.
yes.
Like this
Well,
one
hopefully,
here.
and hopefully this November. Yeah, that'll motivate them.
Yeah.
Hello. Is there a website that they can go on since we can't get inside?
Yes, Ohio Channel.
Ohio Channel, guys.
Yeah,
Let me
I
look
just
for-
searched for the Ohio
Okay.
Channel.
So just look for the Ohio Channel through the State Board of Education.
Yeah, and yeah, they'll have like different ones and
Okay.
the Board of Education.
Okay.
So it'll be a live stream.
Okay, so look on the Ohio Channel, guys, and there will be for the State Board of Education, and they're talking like that's where they'll be able to find the channel. I'm gonna step outside. It's a little warm in there. I guess they have the overflow room, and I'm gonna go over here and hang out here for a minute. I'm following you. It's a little warm in there. Lord. I said it's warm in there. And then I went into the room. I went to the bathroom and went to the room. Hold on, guys. And I was like, wow. I was like, there's no spots. And when I left here this morning, I went walking around and then went back to my vehicle and got my lunch and took a break. And I even closed my eyes for a few minutes, but I don't know, there's some homeless people down there. I was like, okay, that's probably not the best idea.
It is. It's just,
Yeah, I know it. Well, I just got back from DC and we don't have as many as they do there.
back from where?
Washington,
They, yeah,
D.C.
this how the fence are on. So.
Yeah. Well,
Hey,
some of them choose it. I figure we've got enough programs in Ohio and throughout our country if they really did want to, that there's ways. I mean, I know there's, like you said, it's both sides. Because a lot of them, like, they can't get a job because they don't have an address. But like I told my live stream earlier, I said, so I went into the building and they took my driver's license. And I was just like, I wonder if the Board of Elections does that. Oh, I'm sorry. Not sorry, guys. I know. I know. You're not on live either, so they don't see that. But there's a few things that are a little wonky around in our country, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, there can be.
yeah.
The thing about a subject like this, honestly, is that both sides feel like it's something the right.
Right.
And when you have that kind of
Mentality.
mentality and mindset,
That causes the
there's
division.
no middle ground.
No. Well, the only thing I look at this, I'm for the resolution, only because I feel like we have enough laws that cover the basis as far as, being against the hate, being a part of a hate group or whatever. We're not back in the 60s. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things have changed.
That's the thing. I mean,
Right.
growing up our generation, you go back to when we were kids,
Right.
how it was then,
Right.
50 or 55 years later.
Right.
Not the same.
No, it's definitely not.
I've always been flexible.
Well, that's
I always try to see the other person. But I think that the end game will be let's find more ground.
right.
Okay?
Right.
Let's find something we can
Well, I think it's mutual respect. Back in the day, when there was somebody that was
And
or
that's-
different or whatever, it was a mutual respect. You were still friends with them. You still, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like you shunned them or did anything like that. We were still friends. But there was a mutual respect that they knew.
Yeah, you were entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to mine. Okay, so common ground was
Okay, guys. So, just chilling here. It's hot inside. Hi, CJ. Hi, Robin. Okay, sweet. Thank you, Buffalo Wifey. Awesome. That'll work. Yeah, so there's a lot of people in there. And like he said, there are both sides that none of them are agreeing. And so we shall see how this resolution goes. I know that in the state of Ohio, there is a Title IX that pretty much covers what they are talking about today. Only they're trying to amend that title. So this resolution will stop that and will give the parents and the teachers and the school districts um, a platform to let them know like that this is not, this is, we're not going to coerce our children. It is up to the parents on their gender identities. It is, and it's not up to the school districts or the teachers or the staff to determine whether or not they have any input on it. So, hi, Veronica. So that's where we're at. I should, I'm gonna get on my other phone and see if, hi, Flyers 86, and see if I can't pull that link up. After I pay for my parking again. Hold on. Yes, good afternoon. Okay, let's see. 681. Yeah, I should have my number memorized by now. Jeez. Let's see. Okay. Good for another 3 hours. Okay, so
Partner is a psychiatrist that currently hormones committed turns out to be a reckless student, seems to have died of this series very strange. So you don't need to trust my analysis of the literature. Medicare did an exhaustive search. When Medicare decides whether or not to pay for a procedure, they do a national coverage decision. So they looked at thousands of stuff. Joe Biden's own Medicare, CMS, said there's not enough data to support this, and he's sticking by it under the Joe Biden administration. Okay, so Europe has been doing this for longer than we are. They have already seen the problems. They're ahead of the curve. They've already pulled back. The tax stop clinic in London was shut down, for example. So you would think we would learn from that, but the opposite's happening. This resolution needs to be passed. A loud signal needs to be sent to say, you know, it's okay to blame your children.
let me see.
You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Lord. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I represent Center for Christian Virtue, Ohio's largest public policy organization in the state of Ohio. I want to thank you for your service. Before starting public policy, I was in schools just about every day, a classroom somewhere all across the country for the last 25 years, inner city, rural, suburban. And so I know your job is hard, and I know you didn't sign up to be culture warriors in something like this, but this is where we are. Had an opportunity to participate in all of the hearings, the SAFE Act hearings that we had recently, and there was 4 of them. Children's Hospital showed up. We had detransitioners, we had folks that identified as trans there, and just over the last couple of years, just really been getting an education. I want to talk about some things that came up that we can know. Very, very few can argue with some of these things. As just was spoken, we can argue this study over that study, whether it was activist driven or not. One thing you can argue with is that many of the nations that went before us in gender affirmative therapy are now pulling back, pumping the brakes seriously. UK, Netherlands, Finland, these are not necessarily your social conservative nations. These are folks who've been performing these procedures for 30 years to a great expense and are now taking the embarrassing move of stopping. In many cases, the UK just recently shut down London's largest and oldest gender clinic in history, and they just completely shut that down for one reason alone. After 30 years, they cannot prove the efficacy of these procedures. Period. It's not because they're religious value. Whether they voted for Trump or Biden, they just can't prove the efficacy after 3 decades of performing these procedures. 1,000 parents are suing now, and we're going to see that as well here. We're going to be seeing medical malpractice because the data is just not there. And it seems like while they're the brakes. Why in the world are we barreling forward? Somebody say, well, Dave, how come we're talking about hormone replacement therapies and surgery? We're schooled because you all are fulfilling the first step of the process of gender transition, which is social affirmation. You cannot deny that fact. When you are not telling parents that kids are struggling and suicide and different things, they want to put on different clothes when they get to school, you are complicit in the social affirmation of that child, and there's science that says that you are probably going to be in trouble with that if you continue to do so. The international standard for care with youth with gender dysphoria is watchful waiting,
Carol,
psychotherapy.
I was able to go in, but there's no seats. They are completely packed. The overflow room is packed. The lobby is packed. I'm on the south side of the building, and there's people sitting up by the doors. So here in a few, I'll take you guys for a walk around. And then on the north side of the building is people standing with signs and all that stuff too. I actually ran into a guy that was in the
Next speaker, we'll go ahead with
the convoy, a couple of the
Destiny.
convoys that we had here in Ohio. He's from Guernsey County.
Mr. Hagan.
Might I suggest that you have a on-deck system where you announce
I'll
the
try
next
that.
person and
Yes.
they could wander forward
So
around 3 minutes.
Kim Dusky is not in the room. Julie Busby. And then the next person who would be on deck would be Lawrence Bishop. So you can be ready. You don't have to go up right now, Lawrence, but just be ready to go up when she's finished, okay? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Julie Busby. I'm a parent of 3 children. Growing up and reading about different
Sorry, guys. Dang. Crap. Sorry. Oh my goodness.
atrocities throughout history always made me wonder. The killing of 6 million Jews, the enslavement of blacks, the near decimation of the Native American population. How could so many have cooperated with evil and turned a blind eye? I always asked myself, if I were living during these times, which side would I have been on? Those who carried out evil, the cowardly, the heroes and fighters of justice. Today we are facing one of those times, the era of mass genital mutilation of children and using our most vulnerable of society as guinea pigs for experimental hormone blockers to be exploited for financial gain by billion-dollar pharmaceutical companies is nothing short of an evil atrocity. Clifford Allen Hopewell, a former Texas Psychologists Association president, said therapy has become a gateway to a bustling transgender economy. The current market for transgender surgery is expected to increase from a $2.1 billion industry to $5 billion by 2030, according to Grandview Research. And in the wave of its exploding profits, it's leaving behind a trail of wrecked human carnage. Just ask Jeff Younger of North Texas, who lost custody of his 10-year-old son and hasn't seen him in over a year by a judge's order because he refuses to agree that his biological son should have his gender reassigned as a girl. Or ask this man right here, who goes by the Elias Abel Garcia, who at 19 allowed doctors to inject him with hormones and paid surgeons to implant breast implants, who now at the age of 25 has had those implants removed and says he was sold a lie. He says it caused urination to be difficult, fears he's been made sterile, and refers to this movement as a cult. He says their tactics are abusive and says anyone who doesn't support you is a hateful, transphobic bigot. They try to ostracize you, get between you and your family, he says. Scott Nugent, who used to be known as Kelly King, but transitioned at the age of 42, and I quote, says, if somebody thinks you're a bigot, F them. At age 42, I made a decision that turned my world upside down. Everything that was once gold turned to coal almost instantly. That decision was to transition from a lesbian to a trans man to become Scott Nugent. I endured medical complication after medical complication due to transgender healthcare. I lost everything I'd ever worked for. Home, car, savings, career, wife, medical insurance, and most importantly, my faith in myself and God. I learned firsthand the truth about how dangerous and perilous medical transition really is. Scott has since founded Trade Voices and speaking out against transitioning. says, with me running a trans organization and talking to hundreds of trans, I would say 95% of people that transition regret some form, if not all, of medical transition. To push an agenda on all Ohio schools so radical, it will take away funding for free or reduce lunches for impoverished children of schools who don't comply with their mandates, strip parental rights, threaten the safety of girls in bathrooms and lockers, and steal their scholarships through unfair male competition. It cannot be about the safety of our children.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lawrence Bishop, and then on deck will be Stephanie Lane. Welcome, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Lawrence Bishop. I pastor Solid Rock Church in Monroe, Ohio. The seat's kind of hot from that last lady that just sat there. So I'm a pastor, so people probably expect me to quote a lot of Bible scripture, but our opponents, if they don't believe in the Bible, that'd be a waste of time. Even though the Bible says that God created male
Well,
and
there's a
female,
lot of people that
we can all
are
agree,
obviously
maybe
caring.
not
There's
on the
a
Bible,
full house in
but we
there.
can all agree on one thing, and that's common sense. When a person finds a human skeleton in the desert, the coroners can tell right away if that skeleton is male.
I wish we could
or
find
female.
a common ground
And there's no
and then the mutual
altering
respect
that.
we have for one
You
another.
can't transition yourself from a male to a female. You can ruin your body. But you know, when my son was 2 years old, I was a professional rodeo dude. He said he was a bucking bull, and he would get down on his hands and knees and buck like a bull. But guess what? I didn't turn him out to pasture and make him eat grass. I didn't give him hormones to turn into a bull and make him grow horns. Where does this end? Could a student tell his teacher he doesn't want to do his homework because he identifies as a high school graduate? If you get pulled over for speeding, can you tell a cop, I identify as someone that was going the speed limit? It doesn't work. I tried it. I'll tell you what will happen if this resolution isn't pushed through. You're going to see a mass exodus, a greater mass exodus in public school systems, because normal parents, not even Christian parents, not even conservative parents, just parents with common sense, and parents that know that God created male and female. Hey, I'll be the last person to be mean to a transgender or a gay person, and I would be the first person to defend them if I seen someone bullying them. That's their right if they want to do that. But to push this agenda on us and force us to celebrate it and allow what's going on is insane. So we're going to ruin the school system because American people with any morals at all are not going to tolerate it. So I just like to say one other thing, and I don't even need the whole 30 seconds. But if there's persons in here, people in here that disagree with the Bible, hate the conservative ways, think about this. When you're by yourself at night, think about what if these Christians are right. If we're wrong, we've lost nothing. But if you're wrong and there is a heaven and a hell, and it takes Jesus to get to heaven, I want to leave you with these 4 words. I think it's 4. Forever is too long to be wrong.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephanie Lang, and on deck is Kim Dusky. Is Kim Dusky in the room? Okay.
Thank you. When you pass Brendan Shea's resolution, I have a solution moving forward. By calling upon the General Assembly to make a law allowing prayer in the Bible to come back into all public schools. There's never been a better opportunity than right now to stand for righteousness and to correct what has been misunderstood for 60 years. In 62 and 63, the U.S. Supreme Court rendered rulings that provoked the removal of prayer and Bible reading from public schools. National statistics show a dramatic shift after 62 and 63, namely, violent behavior dramatically increased and educational achievement and morality dramatically decreased. The door to God appeared to many to be shut to public schools, and thus a void was created. In 2021, Florida passed a law requiring that all public schools hold a moment of silence each day. This is not promoting government religion, but rather it is protecting the free exercise and free speech clauses. In addition, the 63 U.S. Supreme Court case Abington v. Schimm made it clear that teaching the Bible as a literature or history elective is constitutionally permissible. It is not good enough to have ORCs that state a district may allow a moment of silence and a religious instruction to be off campus. Give all districts a real chance to change culture for the good by providing complete access to prayer and the Bible in their schools. Give public school boards and administrators the backing they need, which I am one of. For well over 100 years, the Bible was a traditional textbook in our public schools. Yet over the past several decades, it has been one of the most banned books in public classrooms. The Bible is the most published book in the world every single year. The Bible possesses an unfathomable degree of wisdom and guidance for life. Research indicates that Bible literacy is associated with higher levels of academic achievement. Studies estimate the gap in achievement between those instructed in Bible literacy and those that are not at about a full grade point average. I recently heard an encouraging word for Ohio's future. Ohio is for education, like Nashville is for music. I can't think of a better solution than putting prayer and the Bible back into all public schools. The U.S. Supreme Court has opened the door to righteousness with the favorable Coach Kennedy case. In closing, I ask that you join me in this endeavor to preserve our children's innocence and protect and promote truth by voting for Brendan Shays' resolution and making.
I have been an educator in the public school system for 28 years. As a
Oh no.
in our public schools,
Sorry.
with dangerous grooming and the threat of sexual assault. More importantly, we need to understand how allowing these things to happen in our school systems would further harm our students, especially those who are already suffering with mental health issues due to sexual abuse. My point of view is not about putting one group of people against another, which the federal government is really good about. It is about doing what is best for our students, parents, staff, and communities. I have a friend whose child was sexually abused by a family friend. Her children have huge fears of using the restroom at school due to the Title I expansion. One of the children actually uses the bathroom in the office to make sure no bad situations happen. I know there are many other children with these kind of fears. This is like crying fire in a crowded theater. There are so many people who this adversely affects. I know that Attorney General Yost has already filed suit against the federal government for establishing a mandate that puts our children at risk for grooming and tries to take away the rights of parents, families, and teachers. We call for you to get on board and support the AG of Ohio. Adopting this resolution will put actions in place that will...
Well, that's crap. Let me see if I can get it back up. What if everyone else's went down? Yes, but they should be able to max, yeah, I wonder. I'm trying to get back on it. But, you know, they allow prayer for many other religions that they make sure that they're allowed to follow their culture. So, if they have a study hall period, then what's wrong with them having prayer during that time? Let me see if I can figure this out.
pain when he was writing. He said, these are the times of try many souls. We can certainly see the way this is affecting our community and our society. Then I began to think about the words of Rudyard Kipling and his poem, If. And he said, if.
I don't know if this is from earlier, before I.
All those out people are using force. I thought, boy, this is really what we need to do. Because you can see there are a lot of people who are losing their heads right now. And your job is just to keep your head and keep calm and do what you can. And I want to thank each of you for your service. You're here because you care about kids.
I don't know if this guy was, if he was on there before.
You're here to do one thing. But why does this all come to mind? It comes to mind today because President Joe Biden and his administration are trying to strip our daughters of
I understand,
their
Max.
dignity and their self-respect.
That's why I homeschooled my daughter
by mandating that our
from
schools
5th to
here
10th
in
grade.
Ohio allow boys into the women's restrooms, into the women's private spaces, into the locker rooms, and even into the bedrooms when they're on trips. And he wants them to sacrifice their well-deserved rewards, their trophies, and their scholarships, all by turning Title IX on its head.
Okay.
But we can't put up with it. And how does he propose to do that? By stealing our children's milk money. The president wants to steal our kids' milk money to force this dangerous ideology on the Buckeye State. I hope you won't settle for that. I don't think you will, because I think you're courageous and you're kind and you care about our children. Who steals milk money? From kids. Presidents don't do that. Only punks do that. Why would you steal
just called our
milk money
president
from
a
our
punk.
children
Love
to
it.
force your agenda? This is a time for leadership. America is watching. I want you to know that Ohio has your backs. Ohio will stand behind you. I will stand behind you. Representative Stoltzfus and others will stand behind you inside of the legislature. America will not tolerate a president that starves children and steals their milk money to get their way. This is a time when we have to say we will not be bribed by Biden. We won't be sucked into the swamp, and we won't sell our children for milk money. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. Representative Reggie Stoltzfus, and on deck is Rebecca Bourne. Welcome, sir. You have 3 minutes once you start speaking.
Well, good afternoon, President McGuire and members of the Ohio State Board of Education.
Hi,
I'm
Sean.
Representative Reggie Stoltzfus. I represent Ohio's 50th House District, and I sit today in support of this resolution being considered. Ohio's public schools have a vitally important calling to develop young people who understand themselves
Thank you,
and the
Mods.
world around them, so they can be the people they were designed to be. And
That's
in
why
so
we
doing,
can't have
contribute in the noblest and truest sense
meet in the
to
middle,
flourishing-
'cause
into the flourishing of their families and communities. Every student should be nurtured
they don't want to
so
have
they
any
can live ordered
discussions.
lives
They talk
within the
about echo
sometimes
chambers, and
constrained
that's what we
laws
get.
of nature and the universe. We need schools that understand virtue is formed in human beings by conforming our desires to reality, not by conforming reality to our desires. Sadly, our school's high calling has been sidetracked by an unscientific, ahistorical, and empty narrative that teaches our children that they are free to jettison the biological realities of their bodies. In no other course of study are children taught that natural laws do not apply or are subject to individual feelings. The collective wisdom of this board ought to recognize that a young person's feelings can be misled or easily manipulated by a narrative pushed by those with secondary authority over a child, even if that narrative runs counter to obvious facts. As this resolution rightly states, sex and gender are not arbitrarily assigned at birth, but rather identifies an unchangeable fact. There are observable, quantifiable, and immutable differences between male and female. To allow students to be educated in a system that ignores these obvious differences is derelict at best and abusive at worst. Large percentages of Ohio's parents are rising up and asserting their right to say, we should not be compelled by the state to place our children in a school that teaches a sexual ideology that has no communal
Amen.
or scientific consensus. Our common school system must arise out of a common set of beliefs about the nature of things. The resolution being considered makes the rational and common sense decision that gender ideology is not common to a large percentage of Ohioans. It should not be part of a state-compelled education. Too many schools across the country have ignored this concept, and as a result, 74% of Americans now want educational freedom for their children, so that the funding follows the student rather than going exclusively to a system. We all have seen how elections such as the late gubernatorial race in Virginia have played out. They have turned decisively and exclusively on this issue. I urge this board to listen to your constituents,
That's awesome,
to recognize the manifest nature of the human body, and adopt the resolution supporting children, parents, and schools against the harmful experimental gender ideology. Thank you all for your service.
And that's what's going to come to it is, parents want
Thank you, sir.
their rights.
Rebecca Bourne,
And
and
if
on deck is Corinne Nussbaum.
they don't allow them, then that money should follow the child. So they can afford private
You have
schools.
3 minutes. Hello, I'm Rebecca Bourne. The journey to discover who we are affects all of us and can be perplexing, especially for children. As a mental health professional, I have seen how the pain of not fitting in, not feeling accepted or validated leads to incredible distress. Impressionable kids trying to manage that distress may go through a period of claiming to be transgender. Because it is a social construct gaining attention, they believe alignment with this identity can bring the acceptance they seek. Just because a child feels they are the opposite of gender does not mean they are. Exploration of what's driving that confusion requires attention. Medical issues cannot be determined by a feeling. If a child struggling with food issues states that they feel too fat, we don't agree and call them fatty. By agreeing with such a feeling, we confuse kids even more and we give them a power that they're not ready to manage. I have heard the plea that transgender kids are at a high suicide risk. This threat of suicide in this population is being misconstrued. We have no proof that the gender confusion is responsible for the suicide or self-harm. This threat may actually be caused by the underlying mental health problems we ignore. I don't want to get hung up on the issue of transgender, as that is actually distracting from the real issue with the regulation changes. The real issue is the engineering of culture and the bullying overreach of government.
Amen.
Under the new regulations, your science teachers can be charged with sexual harassment if they teach the biology of gender. Parental rights are demolished as schools are instructed not to inform parents if their child asks to be identified by a different gender. This is control and it's wrong in so many levels. These unlawful regulations have prompted a slew of legal challenges. From the Ohio House Bill 722 addressing parental involvement to a federal response by Senator Scott from South Carolina to cut federal funds from schools who do not inform parents, to our own Ohio Attorney General who has joined 19 other state attorney generals in challenging these regulations. Americans have God-given rights to live in freedom. The right to speak the truth of scientific facts is just as important as the right for an adult to change genders. Silencing any voice, creating confusion in identity is evil, and I serve a God who addresses that evil. As a state board of education, you have a moral obligation to do no harm to our children and an obligation to honor the parents who entrust you with their children. Vote yes on the resolution.
Yes.
Thank you. Corinne Nussbaum, and on deck, Colby Tarr. Welcome there, and you have 3 minutes.
All right. Hi there. My name is Corinne Nussbaum. Mrs. Corinne Nussbaum. I'm the mother of 4 small children, and I'm here to share my life with you, actually, because my story could be drastically different had I not had parents and teachers who raised me to love myself, my actual self, not the fantasy that I had created when I was little. When I was a child, I wanted to be a boy. At one point, I remember telling my mom that I wanted a new name. I was excited about it, and I thought she'd be excited for me. She was not excited. She told me that she had picked my name. My name was a gift that she had given me. It had value far more than any whim that I had to change it. I learned that my name had value. I had value. This is actually the exact opposite teaching of gender ideology today. We tell children who are feeling misshapen, lacking, deformed, like they're mistakes, that they're right. that in order to become themselves, they must physically disfigure themselves. According to research published by Sexology Today, 60 to 90% of children of my generation and prior who are transgender outgrow their transgenderism. That means that for every single trans adult today, there are 2 to 9 people with stories like mine. But what would my life look like today if my school had encouraged my transition without my parents' consent? What if I had gone to classes that had curriculum that encouraged me to explore my pronouns? What if I had peer pressure and adults who encouraged me to transition with puberty blockers, had a double mastectomy, or a hysterectomy? Board members, please recognize that this resolution does not tell a child that he or she cannot express a transgender identity. It only says that teachers will not be punished if they choose to respect or not respect a child's pronouns, given that the parents are in communication about this. It takes the curriculum of transgender identity out of our schools, and children who'd never have otherwise questioned their bodies won't be required to under Title IX's definition of sex. I hope that as parents and leaders of our current generation, that you support us in the ability to be in communication with our teachers around how to handle our students.
Thank you. Colby Tarr and Beth Murdoch is on deck. Welcome, sir. Thank you. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Fessler.
I'm not sure that all people heard your introductory remarks, where the first bell was basically a 30-second warning. I don't think that that young woman knew that she had 30 more seconds, but I'm just thinking about the people in the basement. I don't know if they heard that or the people in the lobby.
I would trust that the staff is making them aware of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, you may go ahead. You have 3 minutes beginning now.
Thank you. President McGuire, Vice President Manchester, and Board of Education members, thank you for the opportunity to provide comments in opposition to the proposed resolution to support parents, schools, and districts in rejecting harmful, coercive, and burdensome gender identity policies. I appreciate the fact that this resolution makes no mention of children in the title, which reads to me as an acknowledgement by the sponsor of this resolution that this resolution is prioritizing nullifying the fears of parents at the expense of children's safety at school, not supporting and protecting children at school. My name is Colby Tarr, and I am a graduate student at The Ohio State University pursuing a master's degree in social work. Additionally, I am a research associate studying risk factors for the LGBTQ community and HIV prevention, and an intern at the National Association of Social Workers Ohio chapter. I knew that I was gay by the time I was 12 years old, and I came out to my community when I was 14. I am 30 years old today, and I still deal with the repercussions of that experience every day. We already know what non-affirming schools look like for LGBTQ people.
Hi, Jay.
Many people in Ohio have been practicing the standards suggested by this resolution for years now. When I cried out for help to my school counselor after I came out, I was told I was too young to know about it. And teachers were silent despite the obvious warning signs that I was struggling. These strategies of silence, censorship, and invalidation don't result in less queer kids. They result in dead or damaged queer children. Your own children are no less or more likely to be gay or trans, regardless of any resolution or policy you may pass. However, if your kids or grandkids are gay or trans, they are much more likely to become suicidal without affirming spaces and support. LGBTQ youth in non-affirming communities have the highest suicide rates of any other demographic, and trans youth hold the highest suicide rates of the LGBTQ community. Research shows that stigmatizing policies like this resolution supports are directly linked to higher rates of suicidality in my community. Furthermore, resolutions like this resolution provide affirmation that homophobic, transphobic, and stigmatizing attitudes are justified. Resolutions like this affirm that shaming and erasure of LGBTQ identity is justified. All of this contributes to severe damage and death in my community. I am not asking this board to affirm my identity. I am asking this board and the entire Ohio State government to leave its LGBTQ population in peace. Stop attacking our ability to live safely in the state and offer us the decency and kindness that is supposed to be the experience of living in Ohio. I am asking this committee to protect their own children, grandchildren, nieces, and nephews, one or two of whom are likely to be LGBTQ, whether they have felt comfortable telling you or not. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I believe Beth Murdoch, and then Corey Ford will be next.
Welcome, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Beth Murdoch.
Sorry.
First, a quick disclaimer. Any opinions I express today are my personal opinions and do not represent the opinions of other members of the Hilliard City School Board, the board as a whole, the administration, any employees of the Hilliard School District, and should not be construed as such. I am speaking to you today as a mother, and I support passing an amended version of Mr. Shea's resolution. I hope that you are able to look past the somewhat inflammatory whereas clauses, the extreme reaction many are having to this language, and focus on the actual text of what this resolution purports to do. Due to the short nature of the time allotted for public comment, I would like to focus on an issue that I have tried to raise in my capacity as a member of the Hilliard City School District Board of Education to no avail. The issue of parental rights. Our nation has consistently maintained that parents possess a fundamental right to raise their children as they see fit. This belief has been upheld in numerous Supreme Court cases that reflect the American people's long-standing commitment to parental rights. I am extremely concerned about policies that essentially enable school administrators, counselors, and teachers to hide important information about a child's social and emotional well-being from the child's parents. Simply put, schools should not be getting in between children and their parents. Schools should not be entitled to pick and choose which mental, physical, or emotional health information to share with a parent. I also categorically and emphatically reject any policy that presumes that a school district can withhold information on the basis of a theoretical harm to the student because of the potential that some parents may not be supportive. Every parent speaking to you today is here because we love our children, no matter what. Schools should not be getting in between children and families. We should be supporting strong families. Anytime we're in a situation where we're helping kids conceal something from their parents or giving advice where parents really should be the ones giving advice, then we've overstepped. I believe that a variety of contentious issues such as anti-racism and sexual gender identity issues are being made part of the average school day in a way that does not benefit Ohio students.
I couldn't make it inside,
My feeling is that the state of Ohio has certainly not reached a level of educational excellence such that the school day should be given over to a variety of political and cultural issues while our children continue to struggle with mastering the educational basics. While I do have issues with some of Mr. Shea's language, I believe the overall thrust of his resolution is to return the focus in Ohio back to education and away from both federal overreach and the attempt by some to turn every school day into a social and political football. Let's stop using schools as a training ground for activists for our favorite causes. Let's not pretend that schools have equal or greater rights than parents when it comes to raising their children, and let's get back to educating our children, shall we? Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today.
Amen.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Corey Ford, and then Jeremiah Sawyer.
Welcome, sir, and you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. Thank you. My name is Corey Ford, and I appreciate the board having me here today. Mr. Shea's resolution is lawlessness. In fact, the proposed Department of Education changes rules won't go into effect until around 2024. This is because previous rule changes garnered 125,000 comments from the public, and it took 15 months to review and implement the final version of that rule change. This rule change had over 200,000 comments, so it will take just about as long. Until then, we're under the guidance proposal implemented by the previous administration, which means not adopting this resolution would continue to perpetuate the actual lawlessness currently being carried out, as I believe, in many Ohio school districts. One popular science site is the Trevor Project, to cite. Claiming to produce research, they published a self-described flagship national survey, the best that they can do. The 2022 National Survey on LGBTQ Mental Health. Their methodology is not supported by science. As a quote from it, A sample of individuals aged 13 to 24 who reside in the United States was recruited via targeted ads on social media. Great. It's a social media poll. Additionally, 194 respondents indicated that they weren't honest in their responses, and 217 were identified
Bringing me
as
lunch?
mischievous based on written responses.
Yeah.
So 200 people lied in their responses, and researchers removed them. Researchers removed another 200 responses because they deflated survey results. Good science controls biases that suppress and inflate results. They only control biases for one. This flagship survey may be good for middle school science fairs, but it's not good enough for policy prescriptions. The science does say that 62% of youth suffer from mood disorders, anxiety and depression, prior to being diagnosed with gender dysphoria. If bullying and bigotry drive trans youth to suicide, the onus is on the trans activists here to explain how they're targeted for bullying and bigotry before literally anyone knows that they're trans. That was from Littman, 2018. The science shows an analysis of 11 studies that gender dysphoria exists, and up to 90% of children who are not affirmed, and that is from Sexology Today. We've seen this before. When hasty psychology meets rapid surgery, it was done in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s under lobotomies. It's when a spike was driven through the mind of somebody and annihilated them. And it was popular right up until 1967 when we killed people doing it. New transgender surgery is the new modern lobotomy. We're just doing it all over again. Please don't support this. By affirming children's adolescents adopting falsity in their identity in school and away from parents and givers, you start them on a path to increase their likelihood for suicide.
Thank you.
Jeremiah Sawyer, and on deck is Linda Bishop.
I have some handouts.
Welcome, and you have 3 minutes.
When I start talking in the microphone, I'm just going to hand these out at the end so that you're not looking at them while I'm talking. Good afternoon. I'm Jeremiah Sawyer. I've been married for over 25 years to my amazing wife, Michelle. We have 4 children, Jake, Luke, Hope, and Nate. 2 are in high school, one's in college, and one's in medical school. I'm an engineer with a master's degree in business. I've worked in the medical industry for over 10 years. I've ran businesses, I've owned businesses. My wife is a family physician for over 25 years. She owns her own private practice and has been practicing in Northeast Ohio. I'm a newly elected school board member in North Royalton, Ohio. I ran last year because of COVID and all the harm that leaders, people like everyone in this room, the harm that leaders did to our children. Our children lost a year plus of education because of poor decisions made by leaders in our communities. What did they gain? They gained depression, anxiety, drug and alcohol addiction, and suicides. This all happened due to poor leadership and poor decision making, which is why I ran for school board last year. I've been thinking about this testimony for 2 weeks, and 2 things kept coming to my head: love and action. I kept coming back to those 2 words. John's first letter, 3:18, said it best: "Dear children, let us not merely say we love each other, but let us show the truth by our actions." Martin Luther King also captured this message in a quote by him: "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." This is about love, not hate. This is about action, not inaction. Love for our children and action for our children. I've got 3 questions for the board to consider as they make a decision to vote on this resolution. 1, when can we stop over-sexualizing our children in our public schools? 2, when can we focus back on academics in our public schools? And 3, when can we start to protect our children, women's rights, and parents' rights? I got 2 petitions here that I'm going to hand out when I'm done talking. One is from local school board members. I've got over 50 signatures representing 25, not representing, from 25 different school districts. Just today, I got over 10 more signatures on that. I've got another one to citizens with over 1,200 signatures in less than 2 weeks. I had over 100 just today on these. I'm going to hand these out at the end. I ask the board, please love our children. Please protect our children. And please take action for our children and vote yes. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, the next speaker is Linda Bishop and then John Hughes.
Welcome. Thank you. I'm Linda Bishop and I'm a retired teacher. The moral degeneracy of our nation, its schools, and other institutions that are supposed to help children has grown like a cancer since the early 1900s to bring us here today. This moral decay can be credited to John Dewey, the father of progressive education and one of the authors of the Humanist Manifesto. He supported the beliefs of global government and world relativism while denying the existence of a creator and lawgiver. The classroom and society became more about what a child thought was right and wrong and protecting their egos rather than learning subject matter. We are now witnessing the result of this progressive thinking. Traditional education valued faith in a creator, moral absolutes, right and wrong, discipline, and hard
there
work.
is CJ.
Brandon Shea's resolution supports this as well as parental rights and prevents discrimination.
I'll let this ride for a couple minutes and then we'll take a walk up front. And
Title IX
I'll show you
is
that
to
group up
prevent
there.
sex discrimination, not sexual orientation.
We'll walk through the building and see
Children and
if the
adults
lobby's
are
still full
assaulted
too.
daily with movie stars like Miley Cyrus and movies such as Brokeback Mountain, explicit TV shows, and even Hallmark, showing them how cool it is to be LGBTQ, and the list goes on. For those of you in my age group, you remember when it was cool to smoke. We saw advertisements daily on TV about how fun it was. We now know the dangers of smoking, and many people were left with disastrous consequences. Will we
That's
let
why I
this
blame a lot of
generation of
the
kids learn the hard
TV
way
shows.
that transgenderism and same-sex attraction is not all it is hyped up to be? Aren't we as adults supposed to protect the children from the dangers of doing things bad for them? Are the institutions that are supposed to protect
I'm
kids
for the
only in it
resolution,
for the federal
CJ.
dollars it brings to them and their institutions? Never mind the
I love
problems
what
it
you're doing.
causes for students, parents, schools, and others. We do not condone smoking, drinking, vaping, drugs, etc. in school. So why do we need to accept LGBTQ activities as normal behavior? Why are we confirming to youngsters it is normal and okay to take hormone drugs, have double mastectomies, chop off penises, and do things they will most likely regret later in life when their brains and bodies are fully developed? It is none of my business as to what people do in their homes, but it becomes my business what affects what my grandchildren are exposed to in school, having to decide which pronouns are appropriate to use for LGBTQ students. Don't girls and boys deserve privacy in locker rooms and restrooms, just as everyone does? I am not against LGBTQ people, but it has no business being in schools. As a taxpayer, it becomes my business to have a voice in what our children are in school.
Thank you. Thank you.
John Hughes, and next up, Andy Burns.
Welcome, sir. And you have 3 minutes when you start talking.
Thank you very much. My name is John Hughes, and I'm a longtime medical educator for over 40 years. I have 13 grandchildren, and 11 of them have been homeschooled, and several of them are at universities now and doing very well. What I'd like to go over is just a couple points that I put down in terms of Title IX. The first one that I have here, that Title IX helps to further destroy basic fundamental educational principles, particularly in the areas of life sciences. For example, the disciplines of genetics, physiology, anatomy, and medicine would be corrupted and destroyed by denying the basic biological truths that exist in these disciplines. The next comment I have is in regard to Title IX mechanisms would have upon the educational system by starting and affirming transgenderism. There are transgenderism clubs in public schools, and there are situations now that have been reported in a school district in the eastern part of the United States that there was a 500% increase in gender dysphoria within the past couple years. Issue number 3 I have here, that I believe that transgenderism has the risk of fracturing families, and when families are fractured, there's a greater absenteeism, poor academic performance, behavioral problems, and dramatic increase in suicide rates. The next issue that I have here in regards to Title IX is that we have principles in regards to natural law, which involves truth and rights, and these natural law rights are provided by the Creator. In contrast to the natural law that we have civil laws, and the civil laws are laws that are involved and produced by mankind that are completely different than the natural laws that are established by God. Civil laws violate national laws, truth, rights, and are inappropriate. Natural law, truth, and rights should not be a crime when the Creator standards are abused or not obeyed. And that's what's happening today with individuals. If they prescribe to natural law, they're being persecuted. The last issue that I have is...
Thank you, sir. Andy Burns.
3
and
minutes
on
goes
deck,
by quick.
Alita Kamadigatam. Welcome, and you have 3 minutes when you start talking.
Well, members of the Ohio Board of Education, I thank you for the chance to speak today. I am Reverend Andrew Burns. I am an ordained elder in the United Methodist Church. I currently serve King Avenue United Methodist Church as their associate pastor in Columbus, and I live on the west side of Columbus. I stand against the resolution to support parents, schools, and districts in rejecting harmful, coercive, and burdensome gender identity policies brought by board member Brendan Shea. This resolution perpetuates harmful practices and falsehoods about LGBTQ plus people, much like the harmful practices and falsehoods we've heard in testimony today. And it directs local school districts to ignore the updated guidance for Title IX protections for LGBTQ students if the district doesn't agree with it, and it would use taxpayer dollars to pay for this non-compliance. At King Avenue, my congregation has many people who are in the LGBTQ community, including many of our children and youth, all of whom are healthy, wonderful, lovely people, and most of whom attend public schools in and around Columbus. And this resolution, and the fact that the board is even considering it, greatly worries me. If these students under my pastoral care currently enjoy the Title IX protections against discrimination, and this resolution threatens to take those protections away, and our children will be harmed if this resolution passes, because they need those protections to enjoy a full and free life, just like every student should. And they need those protections for school to be a safe place for them to learn and to grow, just like we want it to be for every student. Every member of my congregation who is in the LGBTQ community, or who knows and loves someone in the community, is already suffering from this seemingly unrelenting flow of anti-trans and anti-LGBTQ legislation coming from the State House. And for it to spill down over into the State Board of Education is too much. It seems as if our elected officials, from the governor on down to the school board members, are actively working against their existence simply because they are not straight and or do not identify with the gender they were assigned at birth. And as a pastor charged with caring for and protecting members of my church, I am begging you to vote down this resolution, to vote no on this resolution. The mental, emotional, and psychological toll will be huge if you pass it, because it takes away protections from the students who need those protections the most. And I would be one of the people who would have to clean up the mess you left behind by passing this resolution. So please, for the sake of Ohio students and families, and because it's the right thing to do, vote no on this resolution brought forth by Board Member Shea. And I believe a preacher just finished early.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, the peer
As
pressure,
the next
Max.
person is coming forth, some individuals to the board members, particularly some individuals have printed copies of their testimony and they're on Alex's table for you to pick up.
Lalita Pamadaganta. And on deck is Pat Glidura.
Welcome, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Members of the Ohio State School Board of Education, thank you for hearing my public testimony today. My name is Lalita Pamadigantam, and I am the Advocacy Manager at YWCA Columbus. I'm here today to strongly encourage you to vote no on Member Shea's proposed resolution. Let me tell you about an issue that we all care about, that we all share in common today, which, if passed, this resolution will have an adverse effect: the economy. If passed, this resolution will have an impact on whether or not highly talented people will move to Ohio, and it will drive out the most talented and the best of our students, who will be desperate to escape this state. We will not get to reap the benefits of their amazing Ohio public education, and they will actually go benefit the East and West Coast, where they're wanted. Already, we are hearing anecdotally that high-skilled, highly talented people are explicitly turning down jobs in Ohio due to this harmful, regressive policy. This trailing effect
It looks like they're doing
alone
it.
is dangerous, let alone a fully passed resolution. Passing this resolution will signal to high-skilled people that Ohio is not a state where they should settle and have families. My question to you, board members, today is this board really willing to trade Ohio's economic security in favor of one group's restrictive beliefs about
Economic
gender?
security?
To me, the answer is common sense. It should be no. Let's further explore the public burden that you will put on Ohio taxpayers if you vote yes on this resolution today. The call for the General Assembly to support schools which would knowingly forego federal dollars for free and reduced lunch is at best morally reprehensible and at worst a severe misuse of public funds. To rely on the public's dime to sustain schools that opt out of federal dollars is a literal cost burden on Ohio taxpayers. The public cost of this resolution is much too high. To put it plainly, we are setting up Ohio students to feel isolated, scared, and endangered, and we are setting up our economy for failure. As a young professional, I don't want to live in that Ohio. The Ohio State School Board of Education has 2 choices today: invest in children now and see them contribute to a healthy, thriving, diverse Ohio economy, or reject their authenticity, put them in danger, and signal to the rest of the country and the world that Ohio is not to be invested in. The choice is yours. We all agree that children are our future. Every single one of us in this room agrees on that. Why do we see Columbus desires to see a future where children grow into contributing healthy adults and secure Ohio's economic success? Why do we see Columbus will continue to support trans and queer youth in Ohio? Until gender justice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pat Glidura and Eric Brown is on
But
deck.
why should our taxpayers pay for that?
Welcome, and you have 3 minutes.
If they decide after high school that they want to have sex changes, then
Hello, members
let
of
it
the
be
board.
on their dime.
My name is Pat Glidura. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm a social worker here in Ohio. I wish I could say I was happy to be here again. Instead, I am disgusted. Last month, this board heard an outcry from folks across the state that Member Shea's Title IX resolution was misguided, bigoted, and flat-out violent. Mr. Shea lied last month.
I'm not against it. I just think that if they choose
because of existing
for for sex changes, that it ought to be on them, not on our
quote unquote, and not
other
because of the
children.
treatment they receive at school and outside.
Well, board, I will address everyone in support directly when I say this. Have you ever, in a crowded space, been approached by three men shoving and calling you slurs?
My insurance didn't pay for my LASIK surgery. I paid for it myself.
How about walking home from middle school when a car slows down, leveling insults at you? I was 13 years old. A trusted adult tell you that being gay is a one-way ticket to hell with no stops. You sit in that room knowing it means you.
And kids can be cruel, whether they're fat or with glasses or whatever.
You are is breaking their heart.
Peer pressure is there.
Never, ever be able to see you.
You wear the right.
I
Your
have them.
sexual
And many
gender.
of my siblings have them. But I know.
Right. Oh, you know she did, Kathy. Oh, come on. Don't buffer. Ugh. Oh no. The circle of death. Ah. Dang it. Okay, when I get this back up, we're gonna... And that's great, Will, in the end. I mean, you have to be there for your children. Oh, crap. Sorry, guys. See if I can bring this back up. It's not letting me. Okay, let's go for a walk. So I get a... I got my hotspot on. I think it's their... I don't know. Or what the guy was talking. I'm trying to bring it back up, but it's not letting me. Oh. Okay, let's go for a walk. Does the feed keep on breaking down on you guys? Are you guys watching the feed in there? Does it keep on like ending the live? Yeah, that's all. Hold on, guys. Let's walk in here. There you go, Kathy. That's the mentality. Okay. Still kind of full, guys. I thought it might have cleared out a little bit, but Still full in there, isn't it? No, we was watching it with my other phone, and then I lost the live. It wouldn't. Well, it shows I have bars. I don't know what the deal is. Did it clear up, guys? Okay, let me go see if that overflow room has the TV. Oh, this door's open. Are they televising it in the overflow room?
I think they are.
In this room?
But
They're
they're
still-
not letting us. They're not letting anybody in.
Right.
That's overcrowded.
Yeah, that's why. I'm gonna see them standing
I thought they were
there.
doing it out here. But
Well, I was watching it outside, on the Ohio channel, and then they lost the feed. So,
yeah, I guess I was watching it too.
right,
But not so.
right. And I brought my hotspot, but it still isn't.
What you do with the fire.
That hurt me. Oh, like dang. I think there's your knuckles and your wrist and everything, huh? So now once they're doing the testimonies, are they then leaving? Okay.
They have the option to stay.
Right. I was outside watching the live feed, but then the live feed went down.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if it's because so many people was like crashing it or watching it or what.
It's all good. We have to send mom to give him.
He's the one who would not come out. Yeah, no, I went like this, and I tried to give him the 5, and he didn't.
Right.
He didn't get the 5 minutes.
Right. Right.
He does have a mind.
They all have a mind of their own, don't they? Well, we do too.
Yeah, but we are.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, at this point, exactly.
That would have been,
Right.
get out of there. I said to go try to tell him, he wants to stay in there, he is praying over those people in his head, I tell him.
Right.
He's definitely engrossed in the, yeah, he's paying attention to what's going on, and he's surrounded, and I think he wants this
Is it
lady.
still crowded in there?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
It's
I
very
was watching it on my thing, and then the feed went down, and then I couldn't bring it back up. I kept on trying. I have a
How do you
hotspot.
go, where do you go
It
to
was the
actually
Ohio
watch?
channel. Yeah, it was the Ohio channel, and then you go to the Board of Education, and then the live stream on it. Yeah, there you go. Well, good luck, guys. There you go. Signs of Jericho, right? That's all right. It's most days like this active.
No.
No. Pretty quiet most time.
Not this busy.
Well, when I was here this morning, and then I went into the room, and I was just like, the class of ethics. I was just like, what the heck? And so then it was basically me just looking around the room to see who was trying to stay awake. I've been in plenty of them seminars. Okay, guys, let's see. I guess I'm gonna go walk around and see if I can get my signal elsewhere. I'll be back. Yep, I can't get a signal. So.
You may not.
Let's go down by the river. So still packed. Can't get in there. Maybe one day I'll take you guys on one of them scooter rides here around the Capitol. Well, that was a bummer. I can't get a signal. And I can't get inside to watch it live in there. So they're on that. I said, yeah. I said, oh, they're on their lap. Oh, I just come out this other door and come down the steps. Yeah, so yeah, I'm live streaming, so I got well, I got 46, and I'd say 46 probably or for the resolution. So I'm thinking. Yeah. Well, that's what I seen, and they had said when I spoke to the lady this morning, because I was there at 8, because I thought the testimonies were supposed to start then, and it was an ethics law class. And I was like, oh dear baby Jesus! I was just like, you know, I didn't get my coffee or nothing.
Did you testify?
No, well, it was just the ethics law class. is
Oh.
what they had. So I was like, well, corruption starts here, guys.
So what are you here for?
So I'm here because I with a group called 1776 RM, and we're looking for our freedom and bringing the Constitution back with knowledge.
Gotcha. Yes. With God, all things are possible. It is our state motto.
Amen. Amen. And so our group went down to DC and was stayed at the National Mall and camped at the National Mall to bring attention. And now we're doing the educate, activate, motivate in the states. So with knowledge comes power.
Right.
So we've been watching.
Is it how do you pronounce your name? Amanda?
Well, be right back, guys. Thank you. Okay, guys, sorry. I'm gonna go over here for a few. So, just talking to them people, and I was telling them about 1776 and about Hillsdale College and how we've been watching the Constitution classes with David Barton. And guess what? David Barton's in Ohio. So, now I got to make a decision because they invited me to go see David Barton. Huh. It's about a 2-hour drive. I have to sit down and figure this out, guys. Oop, that one's a little dirty. Still looks pretty. So, kind of feel like I should go. It is at a church, and the church is called Freedom Gate. What do I do? My chat's not coming up. Let's figure this out, guys. I don't know if I lost you. Okay, guys. I don't have the chat. I'm not seeing anything. I don't know if my stream stopped. It's a bummer. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do since I can't see your chat. I'm going to go ahead and end this live. And then I am going to call my husband and decide if I'm taking a 2-hour trip this evening. So I'll jump off here. And if I do decide to go down there, I will come back live and let you guys know. I hope everybody has a good afternoon. And I'll also find out about the vote. See if I can't get on live, the live channel for Ohio channel. And then State Board of Education live stream. If you guys want to go check that out. I'll talk to you soon. God bless. Love you guys.